We now invite you to stand for the national anthem, Negaraku. You may be seated. Honorable Professor Emeritus Dr. Osman Bakar, Rector of IIUM. Yang Berhormat Senator Dr. Zulkifli Hassan, Deputy Minister of Religious Affairs, Malaysia. Respected University Management Committee members, honorable guests, deans and directors, Dr. Muhammad Adli bin Musa, President of the Academic Staff Association, academicians and PhD students, ladies and gentlemen. We welcome you to the inaugural session, inaugural lecture of the 7th Rector of IIUM. It is with great honor that we welcome all of you both here at the main auditorium of IIUM Gombak and those joining us online to this special occasion in conjunction with National Academia Day 2024. Today, we gather to reflect upon the important role of the Muslim academia in championing Tawhidic epistemology, a pursuit central to our mission in IIUM. We are deeply privileged to have with us the Honorable Rector of IIUM, Professor Emeritus Dr. Osman Bakar, who will be delivering today's inaugural lecture. To begin our program with blessings from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, we invite Associate Professor Dr. Nashwan Abdul Khalid to recite Al-Kahf verses 102 to 110 by Riwayah Warosh from Imam Nafi'.
السلام عليكم ورحمة الله وبركاته. أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم أفحسب الذين كفروا أن يتخذوا عبادي من دوني أولياء إنا أعتدنا جهنم للكافرين نزلا قل هل ننبئكم بالأخسرين أعمالا الذين ضل سعيهم في الحياة الدنيا وهم يحسبون أنهم يحسنون صنعا أولئك الذين كفروا بآيات ربهم ولقائه فحبطت أعمالهم فلا نقيم لهم يوم القيامة وزنا ذلك جزاؤهم جهنم بما كفروا آياتي ورسلي هزؤا إن الذين آمنوا وعملوا الصالحات كانت لهم جنات الفردوس نزلا خالدين فيها لا يبغون عنها حولا قل لو كان البحر مدادا لكلمات ربي لنفد البحر قبل أن تنفد كلمات ربي ولو جئنا بمثله مددا قل إنما أنا بشر مثلكم يوحى إلي أنما إلهكم إله واحد فمن كان يرجو لقاء ربه فليعمل عملا صالحا ولا يشرك بعبادة ربه أحدا صدق الله العظيم.
Thank you, Associate Professor Dr. Nashwan, for that beautiful recitation. Ladies and gentlemen, it is my pleasure to invite Professor Dr. Ahmad Faris bin Ismail, Deputy Rector of Academic and Internationalization, to deliver his welcoming remarks.
بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. السلام عليكم ورحمة الله وبركاته. الحمد لله رب العالمين والصلاة والسلام على أشرف الأنبياء والمرسلين وعلى آله وصحبه أجمعين. لا حول ولا قوة إلا بالله العلي العظيم. Yang berhormat Senator Dr. Zulkifli bin Hassan, Deputy Minister, Prime Minister Department, respected Honorable Professor Emeritus Dato Dr. Osman Bakar, Rector of IIUM, Professor Hassan Kasoli, who just arrived from Saudi Arabia this morning, distinguished guests, my colleagues, respected University Management Committee members, deans and directors, Dr. Muhammad Adli bin Musa, the President of the Academic Staff Association, who I think is supposed to give this welcoming remark, academician, professors, staff and students, ladies and gentlemen. So, Alhamdulillahi Rabbil Alameen, praise be to Allah Subhanahu wa Ta'ala for His mercy and blessing, and gathered here this morning in this very important occasion. It gives me great pleasure to welcome all of you to this important occasion, celebrating the inaugural lecture by the Honorable Rector of IIUM in conjunction with National Academia Day 2024. This day serves as a reminder of the pivotal role academia plays in shaping the future of our ummah and the global society. Today, we gather here to chart the course for the years ahead with a renewed sense of purpose. On behalf of the members of IIUM community, it is my pleasure to welcome our new rector, the Honorable Professor Emeritus Dato Dr. Osman Bakar, a towering figurehead who needs no introduction. This moment marks a significant milestone as we embrace fresh leadership, invigorating our collective mission of holistic academic excellence. We are indeed fortunate to have Professor Osman at the helm, whose distinguished career and visionary outlook promise to guide us toward new heights. As we navigate the ever-evolving landscape of higher education, his wisdom will definitely inspire and propel us forward. Indeed, IIUM is a very unique institution, maybe one of its kind in the world. I remember back in 1994, when I was involved in the establishment of the Kuliah of Engineering. At that time, I think we'll deliberate how should engineering faculty be as a part of Islamic University. And after that, I think we also need to elaborate how Kuliah of Medicine, and then where Omar Kasuli was there, be part of Islamic University, architecture, so on and so forth. So we are indeed a very unique university. At IIUM, we have always been deeply rooted in Islamic principles while embracing modern educational needs. As Professor Osman Bakar eloquently writes, the future of an Islamic university in the 21st century must be one of balance. It must integrate Islamic tradition with the contemporary sciences, nurturing students who excel intellectually, ethically, and spiritually. This holistic vision is central to IIUM's identity and mission. The challenges we face are not merely technical, but moral and spiritual as well. Our graduates must be equipped with knowledge and the wisdom to use it responsibly for the betterment of the humanity. It is with this spirit of integration and balance that we move forward. Our focus remains on building scholars and professionals who uphold both academic excellence and moral integrity. We are not simply producing individuals who succeed in their respective fields. We are nurturing human beings who are mindful of their responsibility toward Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, towards the society, and towards themselves. As we are now prepared to hear from our respected rector, I encourage each of you, or I invite each of us to reflect on our personal roles within this academic ecosystem. How can we, as educators and students, contribute to the vision of delivering knowledge that is both rooted in Islamic values and open to modern scientific advancements? How can we champion the vision and mission of IIUM in our daily work, ensuring that our contributions are aligned with our faith and our aspirations for a better world as Khalifa of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala? Finally, I would like to thank all of you for being here and for your continued commitment to excellence in both education and services. Special thanks to the organizers who have tirelessly worked to ensure the smooth running and success of this event. Let us look forward to an insightful and inspiring lecture by the Honorable Rector, Professor Emeritus Datuk Dr. Osman Bakar, on championing Tawhidic epistemology, the role of Muslim academia in a while, outlining his vision for our future with the warmth and enthusiasm befitting a new chapter in our journey. Wabillahi taufiq wal hidayah. Wassalamu alaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Thank you, Professor Ahmad Faris. Ladies and gentlemen, we will now watch a video on the ongoings in IIUM in conjunction with National Academian Month 2024. It is now time for the highlight of today's program. We're privileged to welcome Professor Emeritus Dr. Osman Bakar, the 7th Rector of IIUM, whose remarkable academic and intellectual journey spans decades of contributions to Islamic philosophy and science. Born on December 18, 1946 in Kampung Bukit Lada, Pahang, he began his early education in local schools before advancing to the prestigious Malay College Kuala Kangsar. His pursuit of knowledge took him to the University of London, where he earned a bachelor and master's degree in mathematics, followed by a PhD in Islamic philosophy of science and theology from Temple University, USA. Professor Osman's scholarly contributions are vast. He has taught at renowned institutions such as University Malaya, Georgetown University, and University Brunei Darussalam, covering subjects ranging from the history of science to Islamic civilization. His research interests are reflected in the 39 different courses he has taught over the span of 45 years, nurturing minds across the world. Among his many distinguished roles, he is the current Al-Ghazali Chair of Islamic Thought at ISTAC IIUM and the Emeritus Professor of Philosophy of Science at University Malaya. We are honored to invite the Honorable Rector of IIUM, Professor Emeritus Dr. Osman Bakar, to deliver his inaugural lecture as the Rector of IIUM on the theme Championing Tawhidic Epistemology, the Role of Muslim Academia. Please join me in welcoming our esteemed Rector.
بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. الحمد لله سيدنا محمد وعلى آله. السلام عليكم ورحمة الله وبركاته. Very morning to everyone. It's the ceremony Yang Berhormat Senator Dr. Zulkifli Hasan, Timbalan Menteri Tempatan Perdana Menteri, welcome back to University campus. Professor Dr. Omar Kasule, my longtime friend, he has just arrived from the airport. He rushed to this place to be with us here. So thank you very much, Professor Omar. He is the current Secretary General of the International Institute of Islamic Thought, IIIT, Hendon, Virginia, but is based in Riyadh, Saudi Arabia. Respected University Management Committee members, all the deputy rectors, deans and directions, all the members of the leadership of the academic committee here in the IIUM, honorable guests, and of course, one of the co-organizers of this event this morning is Dr. Muhammad Adli bin Musa, President of the Academic Staff Association, academicians, and our graduate students, and ladies and gentlemen. First of all, I would like to thank the co-organizers of this event, namely our OCAP, Puan Sharizat and a team, and Dr. Adli and his committee members in particular. I would like to thank the university as a whole for helping to organize this event. People have asked what I will be doing, what sort of changes I'll be making now that I'm rector of this university. Well, actually, just to emphasize to you, today is 1 month, 3 days, 2 days. I assume office as the rector, so just over a month. Yes, my commitment has been to the ideals of the academia, knowledge culture, of course, all because for the sake of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, for the sake of our religion and the Ummah. This event, as we have seen just now, the brief video, is part of celebrating the Academia Day. October is the month in which we organize. Well, the Academia Day is only for 1 day, but it can be held anytime in October. And so I thought that I have planned to have this event today with the topic championing Tawhidic epistemology, the role of the Muslim academia. So I thought it would be good in conjunction with the Academia Day celebration that also make my basically deliver what I call this inaugural lecture. To me, for academics, whatever post they hold, especially when they assume new responsibility as professors, as shareholders, and so on, it is a good practice. It is good practice to present inaugural lecture, just as a new professor should give Syarahan Perdana, inaugural lecture. I would like to see that happening in a more visible way. So those who have just been appointed full professors, I hope I'll be seeing them presenting their inaugural lecture, Syarahan Perdana. Inshallah, I make sure that happens. Yes, I consider this, although normally people associate rectorship with administrative duties, but to me it's not enough. Rectorship cannot be separated from scholarship. So I'm still a professor. People say that, so you are no longer professor, are you rector? No, I'm still professor. I'm still, people say, have I left ISTAC? No, I have not left ISTAC. I'm still at ISTAC, as the holder of the Ghazali chair. I still teach. You see, some people persuaded me not to teach. It's just an extra 1 hour per week or 3 hours per week, concentrating on that chat. But to me, it's important. It's important for me individually, important for the post I hold, important for IIUM as an Islamic university. So today, therefore, I would like to speak about a very, very important topic. Certainly, the theme of my rectorship, the theme. When I gave my first speech in university, during the Bay'ah day, to welcome the new students, my theme was simple. I welcome the new student to IIUM, just explaining what is the real meaning of IIUM to them. Simple. There are 4 components of our university. International, but let us reflect deeply on the meaning of international. Philosophically even, let us philosophize on the meaning of internationality. What do you mean to be international? Not just for showing or just to be acknowledged, no. Because the word international is profound, has a profound meaning. It corresponds to the very nature of our ummah. Our ummah is a global community. It's not a national community. It is what you call IIUM is an ummatic university. Ummatic university. We are the microcosm of the ummah. To the international character, our international character will be different from other so-called international universities because our commitment to the ideals of the ummah. We are Islamic. What's the meaning of being Islamic? Well, today I'm talking about that. And Professor Faris referred to the article that I wrote just before I assumed office, defining the core identity of the Islamic University in the 21st century. Emphasize that, 21st century. Our identity, our Islamic identity as a university has remained the same throughout Islamic history. That is representing the international, representing the universal character and the Tawhidi character. But our challenges have changed. How we formulate, how we express the Islamic character, the Tawhidi character, that differs also with respect to time. And of course, the challenges have changed. The challenges to Tawhidic epistemology have changed, which I'm going to touch on it also, inshallah. So that's it. That's a brief introduction to my presentation this morning. Can I have the first slides? All right. Yes, since this is in celebration of the Academia Day. And my topic is the role of the Muslim academia. So who are these people, these so-called people, academia? Let me briefly talk about this. The word academia was first used in the English language in the 16th century. According to Oxford English Dictionary, to be precise, that was in 1542 of the Common Era. That was the first time the word academia appeared in the English language. Does this mean that before 1542? Thank you. Does this mean that before 1542, the word academia did not exist? No, the word existed, but not in English language. That word was in currency in Latin. In Latin language, the language of scholarship of the medieval West, or the pre-modern time. So, the academia was a borrowed word from Latin, all right, which was already in currency centuries earlier in the West. But the Latin word academia itself is borrowed from the Greek word academia. So this sounds more bahasa. Instead of ACA, it's AKA, academic, academia, which is translated into modern English as academy. Etymologically speaking, the words academia and academy are synonymous in that sense. Yeah? Academia and alchemy are synonymous. But in current practical usage, there is a slight difference in meaning that is emphasized between the two words. I'm sure you realize that. When you say academia, I'm sure in your mind, what does that word associate you with? Yeah? It is the community of academics, the people. Academia, in this current practical usage, academia refers more to the association or community of academics, such as scholars, writers, artists, researchers, who are engaged in knowledge activities. The word academia, however, refers to both its institutional meaning and the learned community comprising its members. It's also broader here. Yeah? The word academia actually is the same, and I think this is what we understand by the word today. So that's the first thing that I want to say in this. Now, of course, since the topic is about Muslim academia, so is there any difference between academia as we understand now, both in the East and in the West, or there's some difference? So next. Well, this is what I have to say. Except at the ideological level, at the level of philosophy, at the level of ideology. Except for that, there is hardly any difference between the Muslim and Western academia in the greater part of their common history. Maybe we don't think about it, don't think much about it, but I think we understand each other. Muslims understand the West. But I'm not sure whether the West understands us. But we understand the West. Then basically, there's no difference actually. Yeah. Why is this the case? I mean, what happened in history to the extent that in others we come to have the same perception, the same understanding of the academia? It's a question, the difference is terminology, and of course, when you say to scholars, when you talk about the Muslim academia in the past, you're talking about al-ulama, the scholars, we translate the scholars, al-hukama, as the sages, al-uqala, the intellectuals, right? And on the titles, we refer to Ustaz, Hakim, and so many terminology, as already made clear in so many studies about the history of higher education in Islam, in civilization. So, but difference, and the main reason for this, I said, the centuries of symbiosis between the two intellectual traditions, between the Islamic and the Western. Symbiosis. We can say, starting from when the Muslims appropriated ideas related to the intellectual tradition, the knowledge tradition in the Greek civilization. So when Muslim scholars began to study about the the heritage, especially when the Baitul Hikmah was established in Baghdad during the Caliph of Khalifa Ma'mun. Yes, when you have Al-Kindi and others in there, that began what I call the symbiosis of ideas on knowledge, on basically on the institutions, right? So actually, what separates between the two traditions is epistemology, Tawhid epistemology, the visions of knowledge. And what I mean by epistemology here is simply visions of knowledge. I don't want to go into the detail that philosophers, educationists, and so discuss about what's the meaning of epistemology. I go to the very root of the meaning of epistemology. What is epistemology? Well, there's again the source is Greek word episteme plus logos and logi. Yeah? But the root of that is going back to the original meaning of the word theoria, which means vision. Yeah? Today we use the word theory in a very loose sense, this theory and that theory. But originally, theoria means vision. It means the same as the Arabic word ru'ya. That ru'ya. Yeah? You can have different kinds of vision. Even you have ru'ya referring to our dreams, ru'ya mimpi. But that's it. I mean, the epistemology basically, I just want to be going to simplicity. I said, epistemology is the vision of knowledge. So in that sense, I popularize that. I said, epistemology is relevant to every person, not only to philosophers, not only to, the academics. Every human person must have a vision of knowledge, which means epistemology is needed by everyone. Or I think basically, in talking about Muslim academia and the Western academia, I think we are able to understand each other, we interact each other, but then when it comes to epistemology, especially now in the modern period, the difference was less during the classical period, the medieval period, but now the difference is more profound because we have different philosophies of knowledge right now. Okay, next one, please. In general, we can speak of the many roles of the Muslim academia. At the level of details, certainly we can speak of its many roles. For example, we say, what is the role of the Muslim academia today and what was before? Number one, to pursue, establish, and defend the truth. Because religion, Islam is the religion of truth. This is not emphasized. In fact, many Muslim academics are deviating from that or are not concerned, have marginalized that objective, that role. The role of Muslim intellectual to pursue the truth, to establish the truth, and to defend the truth. What happened today? Precisely because we are going through a knowledge culture in which the word truth, al-haq, which is a very, very popular word in the Quran, but we have marginalized it. And this is, of course, also an aspect of Islamic or Tawhidi epistemology, the truth. Some academics speak of the post-truth. Post-truth, this question of post, P-O-S-T. If we follow, go to monitor the development of the West, soon, so everything is a post, you're going post this. There is no something permanent, something to which we hold to. Postmodern. Now some people talk about postmodern. To how long you go into the future to speak of post to the power of infinity. But to us very important. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has sent Islam as a religion of truth. Din al-haq. Because one of the names of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is al-haq. So the truth. Many Western academic professors whom I met during my stay in the West, that surprised them. To tell them that the truth is is God, Allah. Oh, because that's not something which they are used to, yeah? Because their vision of God, their concept of God is different. But for us, for the Muslim academics, students and so on, yeah? Islam is the religion of truth. But then that reality should be reflected in our knowledge activities. So it's not just to say that, but in what sense that this concept of the truth is manifested in our curriculum, in our educational curriculum, in our foundation of all the discipline. I'm giving you an example how the Muslim philosophers and scientists apply the concept of truth. Basically, the Quranic concept of bil-haq, in truth and by truth. In truth, by truth. To give an example, the concept of causality. In other words, why do things happen? Why do things exist? Well, according to the Muslim scientists, there are 4 causes to explain why something exists, something is happening. Everything must have cause. Everything must have cause, the causality. They call it the material cause, the formal cause, the efficient cause, and the final cause. So one Muslim scientist, both for social science and for natural science, when they want to explain a particular phenomena, they understand this. But modern science, modern knowledge has taken out two of them. They have removed two of them after the 18th century. After the 18th century, they removed that. Yeah? Muslim scientists, all of them, Al-Farabi, Ibn Sina, Al-Biruni, and you name it. They always understand in terms of these four causes, and they call this the four truths. The four truths. Yeah? The concept of truth covers this idea of causality. So now you have only two left. What have they removed? They removed the efficient cause and the final cause. Why they remove the final cause? Because it smells of religion. It smells of theology. When you go to a final, something final. Yeah? So that's why they remove the word purpose from science. Yeah? You are a deviationist in science if you use the word purpose. In the contemporary philosophy of science, the word purpose is not in the vocabulary. But how can, as Muslims, how can we remove that? How can we remove the very, very important concept? Everything has a purpose. Bil haq. Yeah? So what I'm saying is that in order to talk about Islamic epistemology or Taoidic epistemology, the concept of truth is important. All right, but that's I'm going even deeper into this. But I'm said at the level of details, we may speak of many roles, such as to pursue, establish, and defend the truth. Now, another role, to establish justice, justice, especially in the domain of knowledge. Like the politicians, you are not a politician. You are incorporated. Senator, but that, we have another former senator here, yang berhormat, yeah, Ismadi. Justice, but we less people say now, oh, justice now is too wide and so on. But let us restrict our usage of the word justice to the domain, not the domain of knowledge, because that's our job. Yeah? We need to establish justice in the field of knowledge in which we are engaged. Yeah? And of course, establishing that concept, that causality based on the four causes, that's part of justice. Yeah? How can we establish justice in the domain of knowledge when we don't acknowledge the ultimate source of that knowledge, of that justice, which is none other than Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala? Because that is also an attribute of Allah. It's justice. Allah is just. Yeah? But we are limiting to domain of knowledge. Brothers and sisters, professors, and all the academics, if we look out there, just take time for a little pause, just take away, reflect, contemplate on what is going on in the world of knowledge today. Yeah? It's chaotic, chaos. There's no justice. Because there is no justice in knowledge, in the domain of knowledge, we don't have justice in all other fields, in economics, in politics, and so on. Our new royal professor, Syed Muhammad Naqib al-Atas, talks about this. Yeah? There will be no justice in the world unless and until we have epistemological justice. So the concept of unity of knowledge, hierarchy of knowledge, all that is part of establishing justice. Another role of the Muslim academia to advance the Muslim knowledge culture in the light of Quranic teaching that God is the best human teacher, our real mu'allim, our real teacher. Allah, yeah. Through nature, through the world of nature, Allah teaches us who we are and teaches us basically so it's about reality. That's why in all traditional societies, nature, the world of nature, is our second teacher. Second teacher. The Malays, in the Malay tradition, when I was a young boy in class, what did we learn? We learned Kitab Giliran Budi. Kitab Giliran Budi. What is that in that book? All the moral lessons that we can learn from the world of nature. Yeah. All based upon observation of nature. Pandai-pandai tupai melompat, akhirnya jatuh ke tanah juga. It's a profound lesson, especially to the politician. Yes, yeah. In other words, the traditional belief that nature is a teacher. But if you look at the Quran, that's quite clear. Yeah? Because it's a mu'allim. Wa'alama Adam. Allah taught Adam. Yeah? Asma al-Husna kullah. In other words, Allah taught Adam the names of all things. That's the idea of that teacher. So to establish that Muslim culture, knowledge culture, in which our links with the divine is never cut off. That is the Muslim culture, knowledge culture. And we would like to see, inshallah, we will emphasize this at IIUM, that we want to live, to advance this Muslim knowledge culture. So, for us, Academia Day is not one of 365 days we celebrate every year. For us, Academia Day is every day. Every day is Academia Day. Not only in the month of October, one day. Yeah? That's important. I'm saying this because I'm sure you'll agree with me, yeah, that the spirit of celebration today has lost meaning. It's become routine. Routine you take for granted. But philosophically, I suppose, why we celebrate a particular day is so that we will restore what is lost. Yeah? We celebrate so that we remember. But what's the point? If we remember Mother's Day and the respect for mothers coming less and less, what's the purpose of having that? Father's Day, Family Day, Earth Day, you name it. Soon all the 365 days will be used. And still we'll be nowhere. Why? Because the spirit of celebrating is wrong. If you want to celebrate anything, never lose sight of the larger whole. If you want to celebrate Mother's Day, but remember, it's part of the family. So if celebrating Mother's Day cannot contribute to the healthier climate for the family, then it's just a matter of celebrating and you are getting extra holidays for that. So that's all. Yeah. No, of course, to be the inheritors of the prophets. Al-ulama warathatul anbiya. The ulama are the inheritors of the prophets. Yeah, I'm interested in what are the qualities, what are the properties, these people of the prophet. No, I'm saying something which people today have no time to think about. So also in this presentation, of course, I don't go into details. It's the kuliah, the institute should go into details after this. I'm just talking about the principles of the what they call Tawhidic methodology. Okay, next. But now I'm going to the essential road, much deeper, the most fundamental, going to the roots of that. The essential role of the Muslim academia. What is the essential role of the Muslim academia for us to reflect on? For me, as I understand it, it is to champion Tawhidic epistemology. Let IIUM be the champion of Tawhidic epistemology in the world. Let us make that. Let us all be champions of this. What does it mean? Let me explain to you. Meaning of championing Tawhidic epistemology. First of all, here, what I mean, I'm saying here, Tawhidic epistemology defines several things. Tawhidic epistemology defines several things. First, Tawhidic epistemology defines man as a reflection. When I say man, I also mean woman. Man as a reflection of God in a total and integral manner. In other words, the unity of the human being. We are human beings by virtue of the fact that we reflect that. So, in other words, God enters the definition of man, or human being, of the human being. But in a total integral manner, I say this based on that hadith, khalaqa Adam ala surati. We are the total integral image of God. In other words, human qualities are God-like activities. This is very important to me in our times, in talking about who the human person is. Yeah. And Tawhidic epistemology defines the identity of the religion of Islam. So each human person is a representation of Tawhid, and that's why we want to be Muwahid, the monotheist. And the Tawhidic epistemology also defines the identity of Islam, Islam as a Tawhidic religion. That is emphasized in the Quran. So Tawhidic epistemology is the identity of the religion. And it is also the identity of the Ummah. And that's why we have this idea of the Ummah as a knowledge-based community. I discussed this in my book in details in the Islamic Civilization and the Modern World. There's one chapter I devoted to the meaning of Tawhidic epistemology. So our Ummah is a knowledge-based. So if we realize this, we will be the best community, the best Ummah in the field of knowledge. Because that is our nature, that is our, basically our definition. And of course also the identity of Islamic civilization. Tawhidic epistemology defines the identity of the Islamic civilization. Again, because Islamic civilization is a knowledge-based civilization. Just look at the 14th century history of Islamic civilization compared to other civilization. It is very clear. The expressions of our civilization is in the field of knowledge. Everything is defined in terms of knowledge. And of course, this is what interests us. Tawhidic epistemology is the core identity of an Islamic university. This needs to be detailed out, needs to be discussed. And I've told also Professor Faris that, and also Shukran, Professor, yes, I've chosen kulliyah of revealed knowledge as my first kuliah which I've discussed, inshallah. Now, having talked about Tawhid epistemology, I think it is only proper that I talk what Tawhid is. Everybody say, well, everybody knows Tawhid. Yeah, it's true. Everybody has heard the word Tawhid. Everybody basically knows a little bit about Tawhid. But then, when we want to talk about Tawhid epistemology, the Tawhid as the source, are we all, we think we know everything? No, there's so much, yeah, basically. But at least I just want to repeat here, yeah, several things which we seldom talk about when we talk about Tawhid. First point is, I said, Tawhid is the most fundamental doctrine of Islam. I'm sure that you all agree. It is represented by the formula, La ilaha illallah. That is the formula of Tawhid. Of course, theoretical. That's the first pillar of Islam. The first pillar of Islam, the first shahada, the first that is no God but Allah. Yes, those people in science-based courses, science fields, scientists, Faculty of Science in Kuantan and engineering here, how Professor Faris told us just now about his experience of establishing that Faculty of Engineering in the context of Islamic University, all right? Of course, mathematics. In mathematics, you talk about nothing except formula. That's what I learned when I was trained in mathematics, yeah? So I have to memorize so many formulas, but then it's beautiful, no? Because formula is supposed to be a simple representation of reality. Yeah, big reality, yeah. So Einstein comes and says, E is equal mc squared. Yeah. What a simple but beautiful formula. Yeah. All right. And in Islamic civilization, in Islamic thought, what is beautiful must be true. What is beautiful must be true. In other words, there's connection there between aesthetics, yeah, and epistemology. Yeah. Formula. It's very important. If this formula is applicable to 3 levels of reality, this one now, this is what we need to understand the implications of Tawhid. First of all, is the formula is applicable to the metaphysical, theological level of reality. All right? And then it applies to the cosmic reality. When I say cosmic, it means both the macro and the micro. When we say micro, then here psychology is involved. Yeah. Dr. Noorani, yes, Professor Noorani, Professor Emerita Noorani, sorry. In other words, now, we have to talk about microcosm, even to talk about philosophy of psychology. You want to talk about the macrocosmic thing, then of course we talk about the cosmic sciences in terms of astronomy and so on. Now, then we have the level of reality, the biophysical level, all right? Biophysical, and that is what we are talking mostly about. So, Tawhid spirit permeates the whole of reality. Tawhid spirit permeates the whole of reality. Now, the principle of Tawhid is Islam's theory of everything. I've often been asked by students, but also even academics, is there a theory of everything in Islam? Theory of everything. You know, this is becoming a question of everything. Well, I said, yes, there is. And that is Tawheed. Because Tawheed includes everything, it excludes nothing. Because going back to the divine nature, God is the reality, absolute reality, the infinite reality that embraces all. So my training in mathematics, I learned the set of all sets. The set of all sets. There's nothing when you have that absolute set, that universal set. Everything is there. So now, and Tawheed is the Alpha and the Omega. Tawheed is the Alpha and the Omega of the religion of Islam and its knowledge culture. You know, when we say in English, Alpha and Omega, it means that Tawheed is the starting point for all our knowledge adventures. But Tawheed is also the objective, the goal. It's something. We start from Tawheed, to Tawheed we return. That's the absolute way of whatever you say, Inna lillah wa inna ilaihi raji'un. To God belongs. We belong and to Him we return. We start with the unity, we end with unity. But the unity that is that the objective that we realize then is a more enlightened thing. We start with a certain level of knowledge of Tawheed, of reality, but after going through all the knowledge activities, the learning, the synthesis, and so on, our knowledge of Tawheed, our understanding of Tawheed, our realization of Tawheed is at a higher thing. Basically, that is the epistemological journey. And of course, Tawheed is the core of Islam. Next, please. Now, so we have been using the word Tawheedic epistemology. So actually, what is the meaning of Tawheedic epistemology? Well, I just come up with this statement. I said, Tawheedic epistemology is the vision of knowledge that affirms the divine reality, the one and the unique. Because Allah is both Ahad and Wahid. Some people complain, some raise to me, it's not correct just to say, to translate the word Tawheed to unity. Yes, I mean, in the sense it's true because therefore we add the word oneness. Because unity and oneness do not mean the same thing. Something like the difference between Ahad and Wahid. Allah is both. So, but when we want to talk about the relationship of Allah with the creation, with the creation, then that attribute of Wahid, that is more relevant. Tawheed epistemology affirms the science of Tawheed as the ultimate source and foundation of all knowledge, and the best judge of truth and error. Criteria, Al-Furqan, the best judge of truth and error. We should adopt the Quran as our highest Furqan or criteria because we in the academic field are facing this every day, this contest between truth and error. With, of course, if our mind is always alert. If our mind is always alert to ideas, what kind of ideas that we are learning, that we are distributing, that's it. So we go for the best judge of truth and error. Tawheed is, the science of Tawheed is the best judge of truth and error. It negates, the science of Tawheed negates, so not just affirm, but also to negate all that are contrary to the principle and properties of Tawheed. Basically, it's shirk, the opposite of Tawheed. I wrote a book called Tawheed and Science. Tawheed and Science. So somebody told me, Prof, why not you write a book now on shirk and science. I say it's a good idea. Yeah, inshallah. I hope I have the time to write that into all the expressions, manifestations of shirk in our academia, in the books that are in our libraries, the books that we read, all that. So, yeah. And Tawhidi epistemology is the mother of all epistemologies. I'm inviting you to reflect on this, all the different kuliah, because every discipline must have an epistemology. You cannot escape from that. Sometimes you don't pay attention to it, but every discipline has underlying epistemology. Now we need to check whether it's in conformity with Tawhid or is a deviation or distortion of Tawhid. Next one, please. Now, to the topic, championing Tawhidic epistemology. Yeah, you may ask, okay, I talk about that, but what is that and how do we put that into practice? Well, first of all, I want to say that when I use the phrase championing Tawhidic epistemology, actually there is a scriptural basis, the Quranic basis of that idea. There are many verses, but I just want to refer to one verse here. Allah, the English, Allah is the witness that there is no God but He. Shahidallahu annahu la ilaha illa huwa. And so are the angels and those endowed with knowledge. Ulul bil qist. So, wal malaikatu, and those endowed with knowledge, wa ulul bil qist. That to me, those endowed with knowledge standing on justice, bil qist. There is no God but He, the all-powerful, the wise. Yeah? La ilaha illa huwa al-azizul hakim. So I'm inviting you to reflect this as basically this Quranic verse provides the scriptural basis for understanding the concept of championing Tawhidi epistemology. To be champion of Tawhidi epistemology is to be witness. You see here, witness, shahid, to be the witness of the highest truth, namely the principle of the unity and the oneness of God as presented by La ilaha illallah. Let us reflect on this, contemplate on this, on the meaning of this championing in our word to be witness. Basically, one of the main purposes of human beings is to be the witness of God. And that's why the first pillar of Islam is about witnessing. We are asked to be the witness for the ummatan wasatan, witness. So let us here in Islamic University, IIUM, let us all be witnesses to the truth, the highest truth, and all the truths that are derived from that absolute truth. If we bear in mind the spirit in our study, in our research, in our dissemination of knowledge, in our teaching, in production, basically, when we talk about knowledge-related activities, first of all, it is to acquire knowledge, to learn knowledge, to produce new knowledge, to apply that knowledge, to disseminate the knowledge. All is possible. And activities that should be based on La ilaha illallah, be witness. So what is the main role of Islamic civilization in human history? It is to play the role of being witness, that witness. And Allah is the first witness, and then the angels, and then those end up with knowledge. In other words, to be a good quality witness, an ideal that is sought by the courts. You know, the court, it's very rare that the court is getting good quality witness nowadays. Yeah. Although people swear by the Quran or people by the Bible and so on, there are witnesses. But for us to be witness of Allah, to be witness of La ilaha illallah, that is reflected. Our academic work is a testimony to the quality of our witness. Let me repeat. The quality of our academic work, the quality of our scholarship, it all depends on how close we are to playing this role of the witness. It's much more. Of course, I'm not your rector. Of course, I understand. I mean, there are worldly needs, in other words, the professional needs, required by scholarship, by being academics, But we should be, as academics in Islamic university, we need to achieve more than just all the things that we put in the forms, and of course, in order to be promoted and so on, we are required regularly, but regard that as something extra. But our real job is being this, what they call as among the ulama. Okay, next one, please. So basically, I'm close to to ending it. Challenging non-Tawhidi epistemology. While we are striving to champion Tawhidi epistemology, but the world as it is, the world is the world. I mean, certainly there will be counter movement. There will be challenges. There will be those currents of thought challenging the Tawhidi epistemology. Well, I just simply call here non-Tawhidi epistemology. Non-Tawhidi epistemology. They are challenging the perspective of Tawhidi epistemology. I want just to give one example here, because I think it's no better example in terms of the nature of the challenge, in terms of depth, breadth of the challenge. But we maybe, I said, certainly I think we don't pay much because we take for granted that it is a true thing. The most important non-Tawhidi epistemology to have challenged Islam's Tawhidi epistemology is the evolutionary epistemology. Evolution. The theory of evolution then started with an instance was formulated by Charles Darwin, but later the neo-Darwinian, both in biology and in social science also. You have the social Darwinism. Now some people even say, no, what's wrong with that? It is true. But I would like to invite you to look carefully, to examine this foundation of evolutionary epistemology, because the idea that the main idea espoused by evolutionary epistemology is that change is more real than permanence. Change is more real than permanent. Time is linear, not cyclic. But in Islamic civilization, the belief is that time is cyclic. Not exactly cyclic in a sense, but in other words, it's always coming back. After all, the philosophy of Ibn Khaldun, Professor Tahir here, the philosophy of Ibn Khaldun is based on the idea that time is cyclic. Studying the rise and falls of civilization, the rise and fall of dynasty. Oh, you may say, well, these are very, very academic things. No, but Human nature is celebrating cyclic reality. Human being. The urge, the inner urge, the longing to always to go back to your origin somehow. Why do you celebrate your birthday? Have you ever thought? There's something inside you. Yeah? Somehow, yeah, you want to return. So after 1 year, you want to return, to take stock of yourself. Yeah? To take stock of yourself. Look at nature. Nature is displaying is cyclic of this. For a country with 4 seasons, of course we don't have that 4 seasons. No? Now it's very difficult to say in Malaysia in what season we are. Yeah? Yeah. But those are seasons. Those are the 4 seasons. Those 4 seasons always remind you of this reality, of this cyclic nature. Yeah? Natural phenomena, social phenomena. History is a proof of that. So, but evolution of epistemology, we say that everything changes. In the last 1 century, this evolution epistemology has reigned as the supreme integrative principle. You are looking for principles of integration, doctrine of integration. Now, integration is one of our Islamization integration. All right? But if we don't go to Tawhidization, which is the underlying thing, yeah, then we're going to make much progress. Yeah. So in talking about Tawhidi epistemology, we are talking about Tawhidization as far as our response to the challenges coming from the non-Tawhidi epistemology. Yeah. In order to respond to this, it's not just to have Islamization and integration understood at a superficial level, but we must go deeper to the roots, which is Tawhidization, which means that we need Tawhidi epistemology. Now, according to evolutionary epistemology, everything should be studied in the light of change. Don't you realize that? Yeah? Even in natural science, the astronomers, they are not interested to study the underlying reality. They want to study the evolution of the stars, for example. Evolution of the stars. They are not interested in anything in that. So we are somehow forced by circumstances, by the environment, the social environment, the intellectual environment, then what we need to study is nothing but change. Study social change. Now they want to come up with what? Transhumanism. Transhumanism is a change. So these people are not happy to see us happy with this natural state, you know. So they even want to change us now, half human, half machine. Why do we have all this? Because the way we look at reality. They have forgotten the Tawhidic reality. Yeah. So they want to, basically, yeah, as I said, change is the raison d'être. Study of change is the real reason why we are in academia, why we do research. Dan Datuk saya Arabi here, experts on communication and all that. Yeah. So when we study all that, it's all study change, nothing else. Yeah. So, but we forget between what is permanent in human nature. That human nature is something permanent that will never change, no matter what. So why don't we study change in the light of permanence, instead of studying change in the light of change, if ever it's possible. Okay, and that's a challenge. And as for my there are implications of Tawhidi epistemology for an Islamic university. I cannot do it now, but inshallah, on other occasions, we have to study what are the implications of this Tawhidi epistemology, let's say, for kulliyah of revealed knowledge. I consider, Professor Shukran, with all due respect to the other kulliyah, don't get jealous or what, No, it is true. It's based on Tawhidi epistemology. The kulliyah of revealed knowledge and human sciences, that is the heart of IIUM. If you change that position, you make the heart, the brain, then we're already deviating. So in other words, but while you're enjoying that position as the heart of the university, of the unity, but you hold very great responsibility to others. In other words, you need to provide guidance, intellectual guidance, epistemological guidance. And of course, within your own kulliyah, the heart, again, the heart deeper still, that is the Department of Usuluddin and Comparative Religion and Philosophy. I'm renaming. I'm proposing to rename that department. One, very important, Usuluddin, Comparative Religion and Comparative Philosophy. It's very important. Now I'm adjusting it to the needs of the 21st century. In the 21st century, we must have a group of Muslim scholars who know about other religions very, very well. And that's why that comparative religion, you have that. But also comparative philosophy. And together, religion must be studied together with philosophy. As we have been reminded by Al-Ghazali and others, right? Because it is possible that we fall misguided if we do not have the right religious view in studying philosophy. But then, without philosophy, religion cannot progress also, study of religion. The two must go together, all right? And accordingly, I will make the necessary changes, and also, of course, in terms of the expertise for that. That department will, inshallah, will materialize soon. Now in the process of discussion with the kulliyah concern. But another thing that also important for me to mention here is that there's another department also in kulliyah or in knowledge that has to understand. What's done? It is the Department of Political Science. In the light of Tawhidi epistemology, political science must be studied in the light of Madani ideas. Madani. So that department will be named Department of Political Science and Madani Studies. I'm doing this based on history of Islamic thought and civilization. The Madani issue actually went back much earlier than what Al-Farabi did when he responded to the Greek word politikon. It is true that Al-Farabi, when he translated the Greek, when he was looking for Arabic word for the Greek word politikon, he used the word Madani. But we need to remember, however, that Al-Farabi gave that, realizing very well that this goes back, this went back to the concept, the prophetic concept of Medina. The inseparability between Medina of the Prophet and the Madani philosophy of of Arabian and other Muslim philosophers, and something very, it is destiny that someone from Malaysia in the name of Anwar Ibrahim, he applied that Madani philosophy for this policy government to come up with the Malaysia Madani. So Malaysia Madani is an effort, an attempt to apply the traditional philosophy of Madani to our times, to this century. I don't know what's going to happen to that, but it's a very interesting thing. So I only hope that we, as academics, will examine that concept very critically, objectively. Don't be afraid of me. The representative of the government is here now, but I mean, to me, let us be objective. Yeah, this understanding of concept of Madani. But anyway, we are studying political science in the light of the traditional Islamic concept of Madani. That is only what makes sense. Then we maintain the continuity between the Greek, the Islamic, and the modern West. So long, in modern times, the Muslims have been studying political science not based on the Islamic worldview. Some do want to but in terms of result, somehow it did not materialize. But we cannot really come with our own Islamic political science unless we return to the concept of Madani, which is not the same as siyasah. Politics is not simply as siyasah, the politics there, but it's beyond as siyasah. There must be what I call civilizational politics. What we need is a civilizational politics in the light of Islamic civilization. All right, so the heart of university curricula is the study of theology and philosophy. Yeah? So this is the foundation of university curricula in all the disciplines. Thank you very much. Assalamu alaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
We extend our heartfelt thanks to the Honorable Rector of IIUM, Professor Emeritus Dr. Osman Bakar, for his profound and thought-provoking lecture. Ladies and gentlemen, we will now open the floor for a question and answer session. But before that, I respectfully call upon Associate Professor Dr. Rabia Aminuddin from the Department of Political Science and Sharia and Madani Studies as the moderator for this session. Ladies and gentlemen, if you have any questions, just raise your hands and we will bring the microphone to you, or you may come to the microphones placed in front of the hall, and we ask you to keep your questions concise and precise. And for the online participants, please type your questions in the chat box and we will address them as time allows.
You know, Dr. Adi, the president, he chose a political scientist now to ask me question.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Yes, Prof. Sano.
Professor Omar has a question.
Yeah, Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuhu. It's a pleasure for me to be back here this morning. It's very important for me to come because I was very happy with the appointment of Professor Osman Bakar as rector of the university. This university started on the basis of the Tawheed epistemology that he's talking about. We've been struggling in the past 40 years to really actualize this. But now to see that Professor, who is the leading theoretician of this, is the rector, I feel very happy, inshallah, that the future is going to be very good. But I tell you a personal story. I've been traveling a lot by air in the last week. So actually, my hospital in Riyadh, they forbade me to travel. They said, you are not going to travel. We'll talk to the immigration to stop you. So we had to negotiate. Eventually, they allowed me to come and they gave me medicine to use, just so that I can be safe to travel. Traveling too much at a certain age is dangerous. You get clots. So they gave me medicine to inject myself on a regular basis. But I said, this session is so important that I have to be here. In the name of TRIP-IT, in the name of the international support for the university, I have got to be here because I look at this as the inauguration of a new era in the university. It's not really new in that sense, but it's a return to its original mission, inshallah. And the future is going to be very good. Wassalamu alaikum.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. While I was listening to you, Prof, just now, something came to my mind pertaining to the principles of the Ummah. You have mentioned, Prof,
Maybe I can get to introduce yourself.
Yeah, my name is
better.
Abdul Hamid Muhammad Ali from the Department of Fiqh and Usul Fiqh. The identity of the Ummah, Prof said, as a knowledge-based community. My short comment and my question, Prof, is where is the position of spirituality? Because in Surah Al-Alaq, you see the hierarchy of the Quran, Surah At-Tin comes first, followed by Al-Alaq, then At-Tin, Al-Alaq, then Al-Qadr. So at the end of Surah At-Tin, أَلَيْسَ اللَّهُ بِأَحْكَمِ الْحَاكِمِينَ. And we are talking just now about Al-Adl, Adala, or justice. And then Surah Al-Alaq started with Iqra bismi rabbika alladhi khalaq. So we are reading in the name of Allah, who has taught us by means of pain. So this is how we gain knowledge. But the position of the Ummah should also be when talking about the spirituality. So Al-Quran, the book of guidance, also teaches us how to be spiritually ready to lead the Ummah. So Surah Al-Alaq ends with wasjud waqtarib, which means a sujood, prostration. When you pray to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, you are coming closer to Him. So this is how you appreciate Allah's bounties on you. We are the ummah of knowledge, but knowledge alone will not be sufficient. So we need spirituality. So IIUM, in my opinion, in my humble opinion, I've been here for 50 years, studying, now I'm a lecturer. What makes us unique is that we combine knowledge and spirituality. Knowledge without salah, without Quran is baseless, is purposeless, useless. Again, salah alone, Quran alone, without knowledge will be also useless. So what makes us unique is that we combine spirituality and knowledge. So I need to hear your comment, both, Prof, on this. Shukran, Assalamu alaikum.
I'm not quite clear. All that, but you bring also the politician, huh? Brother? If you can put in one sentence, what is it that you want me? You have bring so many things, but what is actually your question? I'm sorry. Spirituality. Well, I mean, in our case, in Islam, Islamic perspective, we don't separate between intellectuality and spirituality. The two must go together. Now, how we answer, how we approach that, that depends on the level of the audience. In other words, when we start, how from schools, for example, how to bring about that harmony between intellectuality and spirituality, it goes through certain process. But we're talking about in the university now, we start. Yeah. I like to go back just to the first pillar of Islam. The first pillar of Islam was the first shahada, La ilaha illallah. We have the second shahada, Muhammadun Rasulullah. I understand that the first shahada, La ilaha illallah, then we have to explain that the meaning of that unity of Allah, the oneness of Allah in all the different branches of knowledge. In other words, the kind of theoretical tawheed. But we have second, Ashhadu anna Muhammadur Rasulullah, Muhammadur Rasulullah. That's very, very profound. In other words, in order to put our knowledge of tawheed into practice, in order to understand, basically to practice, to realize La ilaha illallah at the human level, then we must follow the prophets. Starting, of course, with being the witness self. Yeah. And then to do salat. All right? To fast, to pay zakat, and that we all know very well. But at the level of university, how do we understand these 5 pillars of Islam at the intellectual level in the universities? It cannot be the same as the school children. This is the beauty of Islam. Right from the from the beginning until the end, we all study the same thing. Yeah, the children in the kindergarten, they study also tawheed, but tawheed at their level. In school, we study tawheed at the secondary school level. In the university, we study our university level. But we are not studying different topics. We are studying the same topics, but at different levels of that. It's the same to me, in other words, let's say, Al-Asma al-Husna. Now we sing the beautiful names. I can say, what is Islamic education? Islamic education at the deepest level is just nothing than to know the Al-Asma al-Husna, the beautiful names of God, but at different levels. It's a standard one, how to teach Tawheed. We just let them remember all the names with a beautiful song. Then learn to the Arabic script, to write hard the names. But later on, at the level, including political science. Yeah, how do you study Tawheed at political science? Yeah, because in politics now, it's all anti-Tawheed. Yeah, people create their own, their divine, their lordship, in their own that. So therefore here is question of this is a challenge. You come to detail. That's why I know Professor Ahmad Kasuli. I mean, he has been this for a long time. We know the struggle, the kind of thing that we face at the level of implementation. Yeah. So the question now, how to basically to make sure that we study both the theoretical aspect, the practical aspect. To me, it's all that based on the first pillar of Islam, La ilaha illallah Muhammadun Rasulullah. To study the meaning, what does Muhammad Rasulullah means for the human world, for the human society? Yeah? It's the same pillar that is studied by other people, but we doing it at a different level. I'm not quite sure, basically, when you bring in, what happens to the politician? Yeah? Huh? A politician? Well, the role of politicians is to serve the community. As politicians, yeah? But there are other politicians, I mean, who are not happy, just should function that way, something more. You can have political leaders, politicians, with also interest in intellectual things. That's why in Islam, we have so many political leaders who are also philosophers, who are also scientists. Look at Ibn Sina. Ibn Sina was not just a medical expert, but he was also a political philosopher. He was prime minister, in prison. He was in prison for some time. Ibn Sina, I'm talking about Ibn Sina. Ibn Sina is known by many people as simply an expert in medicine. Yeah? But he wrote works on political philosophy. Not only that, he participated in politics, was the prime minister. But like in all politics of all time, there will always be opponents and all. Today's your friend, tomorrow your enemy. Yeah, it's the same thing. But we see Ibn Sina's time. Yeah. Oh, those are the worldly aspects of them. But for Arabi, wants to talk about politics, political thought, politics as a bridge between this world and the heavenly world. The concept of the lawgiver. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is lawgiver. At the human level, the Prophet is a lawgiver. Yeah? The Sharia function, the Sharia function of politics. So from that point of view, what should be the role of politician is to establish the law, divine law. It doesn't mean that you mention the divine law, then straight away your mind is hudud. That is wrong priority. Yeah? So all that, basically, brother, yeah, we in the university must learn, of course, we have to do things in the, there is a methodology, to say. There is a methodology to everything. So in political science also we have methodology. So I think that's part of epistemology. So there is no doubt epistemology is a very important, one of the most important for us, because that defines the methodology that we will be using in every discipline. And that was Islam's contribution to the scientific methodology. Okay.
Thank you very much. Yes.
Yeah. I have a question.
Oh, sorry.
Yes.
Assalamu alaikum. Really, today's lecture was a vision, I should say, vision document type of thing. And I feel that we have been we are waiting for this moment for a long time. Despite, the Islamization of knowledge movement and integration of knowledge movement, so far we could not provide philosophy of education to the extent where we could meet modern philosophies and challenge those and present an alternative to that. But after listening to your lecture, I became confident that it is possible in modern times, but we need to have some groundwork for that. Unless and until we challenge the prevalent philosophies of education, science, how we can make way for our methodology of integration and Islamization, Tawhidization. A very important word which you have used, Tawhidization. And until and unless, as Ghazali in his own times, first he criticized the Greek philosophers, then he could pave way for Islamization or Islamic philosophy. He wrote Tahawut al-Philosopher after Maqasid al-Philosopher, or after and Munqidh min al-Zalat. So I just wanted to know, have we that much of literature with us and textbooks which can replace a prevalent philosophy of science and philosophy of education? Even in Islamic studies, we are dependent on the books of the Orientalists. So what will be the methodological course for meeting the demands as you envisaged, sir? Thank you very much.
Well, I think to respond to your question, let us take stock of what we have done. That's the best thing, what we have done so far. I think, again, I will mention Triple IT under the leadership of Professor Omar Kasule all these years, and certainly the Kulliyah of Islamic knowledge itself. So there have been many books written by people, by our scholars, regarding the subject of Islamization and integration. But we should ask ourselves now, after having surveyed. That's why it is always important to have one or two people, you know. The others can proceed to if with their Islamization work, but say, let's say even every decade or every 5 years, let's see what has been written. I think Professor Aslam as more in the field of for Islamic economics, what has been written, but that can be done. So I don't think, and Professor Faris, I'm sure if you want to do that research on that, it's very small sum money. It's not, you are not involving that for even a graduate student, for PhD student, in other words, to review what has been achieved until now. Because that is not the end, it's only the beginning. So that's why I said that Islamization at the initial phase, at the more elementary level, I would say, yeah, that is ongoing, but that is not sufficient. We must go to the next level of Islamization, next level of integration, because ideas exist at different levels. The challenges exist at different levels. So why, for example, let's say the Triple IT, now in a sense, after talking about Islamization, wants to go to epistemology, that was the natural thing. That was the right thing. Because we cannot go, well, I myself, personally, when I was first interested in Islamization, I'm interested just quoting, looking for verses of the Quran, which verse of the Quran supports such and that. My field is the natural science, so I go for that. But by just, quoting verses from the Quran for different things, yeah, that is not enough. For beginners, it is so, it's understandable. But after we have been involved in this, we go next, all right? In other words, in the beginning, we will evaluate, for example, a particular concept. Is this concept, the particular concept, in conformity with Tawheed or not? Right? We examine theories by Western scholars, so we do that. Yeah. So in other words, we do that. That's at the elementary level, at the lower level, in that sense. Next, of course, we want to come up with our own theory. First, as critics, it's fine. You want to criticize, that's okay. It's admissible. But what is our alternative? That one we have to present. But that cannot be achieved unless we do a certain amount of integration. In other words, the data are out there. The data are data. I mean, they are acceptable, unacceptable, it's acceptable, but data need to be interpreted. Data need to be interpreted, but there are different levels of interpretation of the same facts. Same fact, yeah. Yeah, so I think but when I said Tawhidization as the essence of Islamization and integration, because without involving Tawheed, we cannot do Islamization and integration. Yeah. Basically, when we want to do integration, you have to ask, what is it that is being integrated? What are they integrated? Yeah. How is going to be integrated? The method of the integration. The most fundamental one, into what? You want to integrate into what? Philosophically speaking, the word integration has no meaning unless you want to integrate into something broader. Yeah? Into something broader. Okay? So I think, hello, Ustaz. Yeah.
One more question. Yes.
Thank you very much. And Alhamdulillah, our elders are here. And I will ask my elder brother, whom I've known for so long and for so many years, I was at this university. Not him himself. I think he's ready when he accepted the responsibility of the rector. But he mentioned right on the nail on the head, as they said, that to be the shuhada ala nas, yeah, to be the witness of people upon the people, or nas, not human being, not bashar. I disagree with being humanization and so on. I would rather it's insanization of things. But the thing is that, are we ready, Prof? You're mentioning a lot of areas, vistas of areas where we have to be prepared. Do we have enough people, enough knowledge, enough courage? As I'm not throwing the gauntlet, I'm bringing it, presenting to you, just like to other, my elders, the three rectors, even from Dr. Abdul Habib Abu Sulaiman. We have the Ummah, the Wasata thing. Can we bring it to the people? Do we have enough at this university now to move forward? I'm sure you're going to lead it. Thank you very much.
Well, it is, we say, do we have enough? We don't. We don't have enough. Yeah? But the exercise must go on. But maybe there are certain things that we have overlooked that probably if we return to that, maybe sometimes when that is the idea when we have a community of scholars. I want to emphasize, community of scholars devoted to a particular intellectual project, such as integration, then I think we will achieve better. Rather than just individual scholars, doing work, but not interacting with the others. So what we need now, what IIUM needs to produce is a community of scholars who will be devoted to study, criticize, produce new knowledge on practically everything. Let's say now, artificial intelligence. Artificial intelligence is going to be a very, very serious issue, not just for Muslims, but the whole humankind. Yeah. So those who are in ITC, those in the telecommunication and artificial intelligence, must have a group of researchers. We need to create groups and groups of researchers, but of course we have to look for funding. But we have to do it. Yeah. So in the case of Islamization, yeah, let me say, as I mentioned, professor of engineering, because I wrote some time back, Prof, when was your faculty founded? 94. So 94, I think 1999, I was asked, I don't know, to come up with a draft of the Islamic component, basically, for engineering. So in my book, Tawhid and Science, I published that. Yeah? Designing an engineering curriculum from the Islamic perspective. I talk about both the theoretical Tawhid and the applied Tawhid. One thing we miss all this time when we talk about engineering, to forget that the most perfect engineer is none other than Allah SWT. We do not want to go into that. We say, oh, no, don't bring, how can you look at God as an engineer? Yeah, but then all the 99 names, symbolically the 99 names, each of the names refers to a particular quality of God. And we know in Islamic philosophy, in Islamic thought in general, that each quality of Allah is manifested in some form or in the material world. I was trained as a mathematician. When I did my mathematics in London in 1967, one day I saw a book in the street of London, Is God a Mathematician? That opens my ear. Yes, I never thought, God mathematician? But then look, when we look in the Quran, each of the divine names, there's some names related to mathematical activities. Allah is mathematician in that He did mathematical activities. Not to mention the word Al-Musawwir. Allah is Al-Musawwir, the giver of forms. Yeah? So it's into geometry. You have economists. Allah is the best economist. Zero tolerance of waste. Zero tolerance of waste. Allah hates the wastes. So whatever your field of specialization, you can connect yourself to Allah. You connect. Bandari, your accountant, Allah is the best accountant. Allah is the best accountant. Okay? Political science, same thing. Allah is the lawgiver. The raison d'être of politics is Islamic law. Okay? So we need to look into this. I'm bringing something which I read, the works of the Muslim thinkers in the past, the connection between Allah, as just now I mentioned, cosmological tawheed. Yeah. Where does that come? It's in the Quran. لَوْ كَانَ فِيهِمَا آلِهَةٌ إِلَّا اللَّهُ لَفَسَدَتَا. That is cosmic tawheed. Because in other words, you look at the reality of the unity of the cosmos, why it is in order? No? Because there is only one God. Yeah, so that cosmological argument is used. Cosmic argument is used to show that God is one, not many. Because if there are many gods, then that was the verse is if there are many gods, when this whole cosmos will be in chaos, not cosmos but chaos. I think all this. Yeah. So I see big hope. Yeah. If we go to the Quran and understand now Tawheed in different light, different set, not as was taught in Surah dulu, Kidam, and no, you memorize that. No, how can you make progress? You need a new approach. Actually, our specialization in the field enable us to go back to the divine names and qualities that correspond to your own field of specialization. You're an educationist, God is the best educator. Yeah.
One last from the sister, because we need to give equal chance to women as well. Yes.
Thank you very much. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi ta'ala barakatuh. I'm Roslina Osman from Kuliah of ICT and the Semantic Body of Knowledge and Technology Research Unit. I'm a small person in front of a great scholar. My question, Prof, epistemological justice guides truth and versus errors, as shown in your PowerPoint slides, and we are human, especially myself, not free from errors. So now, to what extent errors can be tolerated when there are some shirks that are hidden as dark as the night? Thank you very much.
You have to I'll get to time.
How much errors can we tolerate?
Is that?
So, but we are human. We are human beings. Therefore, we are not prone. We are prone to errors.
Error is not have the same weight as truth. When we have truth, as the Quran emphasizes, error disappears. But there are different levels of truth. But in terms of error, error is simply error. Right? But truth emits of various levels. Now, we learn the truth. We don't learn errors first. We learn the truth first. This our pedagogy. Our pedagogy is teach the truth, and you will know the error. No, don't learn the errors and you'll know the truth. No, it's not that. Yeah? Learn the truth. Right. So it's important in education, that's what we do. Yeah? Most of the things we learn are truths. In most books, there are more truth than error. Even the books written by people who are against religion, also actually there are many true things. Yeah? But for us to identify what's the best way? I mentioned the role of the Quran as the criteria, as a Furqan. So that should be emphasized in our education, the process of education at various levels. Yeah? But yeah, it's at the level of methodology within as a course. There's a different level. We teach research methodology to PhD students, master students. The idea is that with that knowledge in research methodology, our students will be able to verify what is truth and not, to identify what is error and not. But when I'm saying that our understanding of errors is in a context, in the proper context. What is that context? In the context in which the truth holds supreme. So that's why for every discipline, I would say, we must learn the foundation of that. I've often mentioned this, that every discipline, every branch of knowledge that is to be called a discipline or a science must display 4 characteristics. I've repeated this. Well-defined subject matter. Of course, the definition of subject matter is ongoing. Yeah? The discipline expands through our research and so on. So the subject matter is expanding, but must be well defined, right? So that is not error in sense, but limited. In other words, our subject matter is limited in the beginning, then the subject matter becomes wider and wider. All right? Everybody faces that. Yeah? You study physics. What is the subject matter of physics? You study medicine. What is the subject matter of medicine? Each has that. What we call this mawdu. Then the next one is very important. This is where truth and error comes in. The assumptions that we make about the subject matter that we want to study. Every discipline must make that assumption. Without making those assumptions, it cannot move. Yeah? You study biology. What is biology? Subject matter. It's living organism, study of life. But what is life? In other words, you have to make certain assumptions what life is. So this is where it is in this assumption, the foundation of science, that we beg to differ with some of the modern ones. Psychology, the assumptions in modern psychology, we can accept them all. Yeah? So many which go against our concept of human being, our soul. Yeah? So that one, the experts, let the experts in each discipline now look. I look at that. Because the ordinary people, the ordinary students, they don't do that. Yeah, they don't do that. Only some of you will examine the assumptions of your science. Yeah. In sometime back, when I was at the old ISTEC, I went to attend a conference in Hokkaido in Japan. 7 philosophers and theologians met there. I was happened to be lucky to be there. For 3 days we had a retreat. Our job, our task, to examine all the assumptions in modern science. So at the end of the retreat, we discovered 1/3 of the assumptions are out of date, based on the new frontiers in knowledge. 1/3 needs to be replaced because go against the new knowledge. The other third is indifferent. So I'm sure if you repeat that exercise in IIUM, just that exercise, very, very important. Somebody has to implement that. Yeah? Let us examine the assumptions in engineering, the assumptions, what? I don't know, Prof? Engineering. Also engineering. But even the professor, Yasir, he was assumptions on the philosophy of law, assumptions on philosophy of law. Basically, we should study the assumption and examine which are okay and which are not okay. We need to be replaced with new one. That is the greatest exercise of Islamization and integration. That is the final goal, really. We want to produce sciences that are based on real foundation as what Tawhid requires us to do. The third component is methodology. Methodology. What is the methodology that we use in your science? Because we have been treated, we have been entertained for so long to the idea that there is only one method of studying everything. You study God. What's the method of studying God? You want to use that same method? You're studying frogs and animals and other animals. It's impossible. For a long time, all the branches of sciences have been following physics, have followed the method of physics. You're studying animal and studying living thing using methods of physics. So physics has been the model for all branches of knowledge. But we can't do that. I mean, yeah. So we go back to our tradition. Why is the philosophy of methodology in our Islamic civilization? Each branch of knowledge has its own methods, appropriate to its object of study. Methods should be appropriate to the objects we are studying. So that's why revealed knowledge is accepted. We accept revealed data as part of our methodology. Revelation, we accept that. Revelation, we accept. The exercise of reason, we accept. But under reason, there are so many methods, yeah? and so on. So there is this method. And of course, the other one is method is a goal, or objective. What is the objective of our discipline? What is the immediate? Okay, there are many levels of objective, but the immediate. What is the immediate objective of political science? It's not question of how to become prime minister and so on. No, that is not the immediate objective. The immediate objective of political science is to study the nature of politics, the nature of political, there's such thing as political truth. Yeah? Governance is one objective. Yes, that's true. But the point is, each discipline should know what is immediate objective, what is the intermediate objective, and what is the long-term objective. You say the objective is for the sake of the Ummah. No, that's a long, no, good. Don't go to Ummah straight away. Yeah? Go to your discipline first. Then only it makes sense for you, yeah? It's basically that.
Okay, thank you very much, Prof.
Can I have
I'm
one
sorry,
more question?
We don't have time for it.
Please, one more?
Very short one, very short one. Yeah.
Thank you so much.
It's Friday today.
Yeah. Prof, just now you, sorry, my name is Shazlinda Osman. Just now you mentioned we should study change in the light of permanent. The question is, how can we reconcile the ever-changing nature of the world with that permanent or timeless truth? Thank you.
How should we study change? I said not in the light of change, in the light of permanence. Permanence is multi-layered. What is permanent is multi-layered, hierarchical. Of course, the highest reality we call permanent is Allah. Yeah? Allah is permanent. You cannot change Allah. No? Divine, his qualities do not change. Yeah? It's still permanent. Even much at the lower level of permanence is the cosmos. Yeah? the earth has been revolving around the sun by itself. That's been, for a long time. That's relative permanence at that level. Yes, before that, I mean, what they call the evolution of the solar system, for example. There is that change, but still you can talk about the permanence of the natural world. So there's no, my stand, I mean, there's no scientific proof. Then the animal species have changed, have evolved. Have evolved. There is evolution or development that's changed within that species itself, within the reality of the species. So there are some changes, all right, in terms of size, in terms of that, but still the species remains the same species. Dogs or cats don't evolve into dogs. Whatever you want, In other words, burung pipit evolve into burung enggang. No, do not have it. Nature does not tell that. Nature does not agree with that. It's more what is in the mind of some people in the West. It's more of the imagination. They have very, very wild imagination, I'm sorry to say. Very, very wild imagination. Because the imagination starts thinking, that part of the species is dead, another part of the species, it's not like that. Yeah. So what I'm saying is that we must start with of all the absolute permanent, which is God, and now the relative permanent, which is the cosmos and the various parts of the cosmos and the biophysical reality, which has not changed. We talk about change is what happens in human society. This is so when in Europe changed very, very rapidly, then it came in the minds of some people in the West, some thinkers in the West, that change is everything. Yeah. I've studied the non-scientific factors which led Darwin to put his origin of species. In my book, you can refer to my book, old book, Critique of Evolution Theory. I wrote in 1987. 1987. Critiques of Evolutionary Theory. So, in that book I said, based on studies by Western scholars themselves. So there was a period around Darwin's time when following the Industrial Revolution, companies are born and die very, very rapidly, all right? So in others, arguments are drawn from social science, from economic science, so that change is the reality. And at the time when, of course, when people have abandoned Christianity, you have the belief of deism and so on and so on and so on. So that was the background of the evolution theory of Darwin. That leads later, of course, to accept change as a reality. In other words, change is everything changes, and everything should be studied in the light of change. So I'm not saying don't study change. We must study change. We must study change, but how to study? From our perspective, what is the way to study change? That is something that's more permanent. That applies also to our curriculum. We cannot teach knowledge that changes every now and then only to our students. We must study the changes in the light of different branches of knowledge that are considered as providing permanent knowledge of the permanence. And again now, review knowledge. Your review knowledge. Yeah? Why we should study Revelation, for example? So anyway, because my point is, yes, if we based on Islamic epistemology, Islamic cosmology, basically what is studied in the Quran, then that provides the right framework. We study what in the Quran, that will provide the framework for us to study change. Change in intelligence, change in our, our thought, changes in our behavior, changes of society. After all, Ibn Khaldun also studied change. What is that the difference? Okay.
Thank you very much, Prof. Dato' Osman Bakar. For today, his talk reminds us that our role as academicians in IIUM especially, in this, even though you might disagree, in this post-truth era, we have the role to embed Tawhidic paradigm to establish truth and epistemological justice in this very chaotic time.
Well, I'm going to have interesting time at IIUM.
Right, thank you very much. Today also, I think my kuliah and my department especially is reminded a lot about our role, and thank you.
Thank you so much, Dr. Rabia. Thank you so much, everyone, for the questions, and thank you, Dato', for the lightning answers. Okay, now at this juncture, we're pleased to invite Dr. Adli on stage. Okay, Dr. Adli will to officially launch the Academic Staff Association Research Grant Pitching Competition. Thank you so much, Dr. Adli. And I will invite Dr. Adli and Dr. Rabia to accompany Dr. Rector back to his seat. Ladies and gentlemen, please rise for the IIUM anthem, Leading the Way.
Let's lead the way, light in the future, share the wisdom to the spirit of Islam. Revelation and reason shall excel, shall prevail. Merging faith and knowledge, we, the Khalifa, we will fulfill the amanah. Together we may
Thank you. Please be seated. To bring our program to a close with blessings from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, we invite Associate Professor Dr. Khairil Hussaini to lead the recitation of dua.
اللهم إنا نعوذ برضاك من سخطك وبمعافاتك من عقوبتك وبك منك لا نحصي ثناء عليك أنت كما أثنيت على نفسك فلك الحمد حتى ترضى ولك الحمد إذا رضيت ولك الحمد بعد الرضا اللهم أصلح لنا ديننا الذي هو عصمة أمرنا وأصلح لنا دنيانا التي فيها معاشنا وأصلح لنا آخرتنا التي إليها معادنا واجعل الحياة زيادة لنا في كل خير والموت راحة لنا من كل شر برحمتك يا أرحم الراحمين اللهم أحينا بالسلام فإنك أنت السلام ومنك السلام وإليك يعود السلام تباركت ربنا وتعاليت يا ذا الجلال والإكرام اللهم اجعل جامعتنا مصدرا لكل علم نافع ومحلا لكل قلب خاشع ومأوى لكل عين دامع ومنارة لكل عقل لامع وبارك في أهلها وطلابها وأساتذتها ومعلميها واجعلها نورا يهتدي به الحائرون والمريدون وسراجا يضيء درب السائلين والباحثين وموئلا آمنا للعاملين والعارفين اللهم يا من أظهر الجميل وستر القبيح يا من لا يؤاخذ بالجريرة ويا من لا يهتك ستره يا عظيم العفو يا حسن التجاوز يا واسع المغفرة يا باسط اليدين بالرحمة يا باسط اليدين بالعطايا بارك لنا في كل مشروع وفي كل فترة واكتب لنا رضاك في كل ما ننجزه ونحققه اللهم زد جامعتنا اللهم زد جامعتنا تقدما وعزا وارفع بها شأن الأمة واجعلها صرحا من صروح المعرفة ومنبعا للرحمة والحكمة ينير دروب الأجيال بالعلم والإيمان. Ya Allah, fashion our university as a wellspring of knowledge, where hearts are softened by understanding, eyes lowered with humility, and minds illuminated with wisdom. Bless its students, scholars, and caretakers, and make it a beacon for all those who wander in search of truth. Ya Allah, let our university stand as a pillar of mercy and wisdom, nurturing generations through the light of knowledge and the strength of faith. Bless our endeavors and grant us success in every pursuit as we strive for excellence in all that we do. O Allah, may the fruits of our university's toil ripple across the world, and may its contributions serve as a guiding light for all who seek clarity and truth. Lead us in every step and bestow upon us wisdom in every choice we make. Ya Allah, kami ini para hamba yang Engkau hidupkan pada generasi ini. Kami telah mengenang dan memandang perjuangan para generasi yang lalu, membawa manusia mengenali hidup ibadah dan menyaksikan keagungan, keindahan, kasih sayang tak bertepi, kebijaksanaan tak terperi, dan segala pancaran daripada azamah dan karamah. La ilaha illallah Rabbul Arshil Karim. La ilaha illallah Rabbul Arshil Azim. Bimbinglah kami untuk berperanan pada generasi ini. Mudah-mudahan kami dapat mengemudi ummah ini. Jadikan universiti ini taman ilmu dan budi kami. Pada keseronokan dan senda gurau kami, hiasilah dengan impian dan cita-cita akhirat yang abadi. Pada kesedihan, kesukaran dan cabaran kami, iringi dengan kebijaksanaan dan ketenangan menyaksikan anugerah mengemudi. Wahai yang maha kasih terhadap segala cipta, anugerahkan rindu pada pertemuan agung semua. Anugerahkan kebijaksanaan menghiasi pengalaman dunia. Ya Karim, Ya Hakim, Ya Hakim, kurniakan kami hikmah. Wahai Ar-Rahim, selimuti kami dengan kesantunan budi dan ukhuwah. Wahai Al-Azim, bekalkan kami ketegasan dan pembelaan marwah. Wahai Al-Mubdi', indahkan kepelbagaian kami pada cermin hati yang memandang rahmah. Wahai Asy-Syafi, ceriakan kami dengan kecergasan dan ketekunan ibadah. Wahai Al-Aziz, pandulah kami memimpin kemanusiaan dan kewibawaan ummah. Ya Rahman, jadikan keluarga ini para hamba yang berdiri menjunjung karamah dan azamah. Allahumma Rabbana atina fid dunya hasanah wa fil akhirati hasanah wa qina azaban nar. Wa sallallahu ala sayyidil mursalin wa ala alihi wa ashabihi at-tahirin at-tayyibin wa akhiru da'wana anil hamdulillahi rabbil alamin.
Now I'd like to invite all the guests here to stand in front for a group photography session. Yes, can everyone come forward? And the VIPs will stand here and everyone will be at the back and we'll take the picture from the stage. Please come forward so we can take a group photo together.